All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Mamita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration, to see the questions that you may have on your mind today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mamita Rahman. I'm an immigration attorney, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years. And it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. So thank you for joining me. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my live. If you are a current client, thank you for being a client. Thank you for your patience and your cooperation with everything. And if you are a follower, welcome to my platform. Welcome to my live. Let me know what country you're from, what state you live in. I always love to hear where everybody is from. And of course, if you are here to talk about immigration, you have a question, go ahead and pop your question in the box below, and I'll do my best to answer as many questions live that I can during the time that I have today, okay? Let's go ahead and get some stuff answered. Someone saying you never answered my message I sent from Minu Suni. Well, my love, we get like probably 100 messages a day, and my team is working hard to respond to everybody, but we will hopefully respond to everybody in due time. So I always appreciate your patience. Hello. Naisir Paralis Magdis, hello. Sister, can you answer me? I've been keeping an eye on you. I really need you. I speak Russian. My English is bad. From Omas. Omas, send us a message and we'll do our best to respond, okay? Let's talk about immigration. I recently spoke with several clients on just recently, and we are doing T visa cases for this client. And one of the things that both of these clients said, which really touched my heart, was the fact that the T visa case gave them so much hope. So what is the T visa, and why do you need to know about what the T visa is? First of all, there is so much going on in immigration right now. And one of the first things that I want to address is the fact that people think, or people are asking themselves, is it still worth it to file an immigration case? Is it still worth it to continue? And what I have to say is, well, the thing that you have to ask yourself is, are you giving up and going back? Are you giving up and going up? Are you losing all of your dreams and everything that you have fought so hard for? I believe that you shouldn't have to do that. And I believe that things will change. I believe that things will get better no matter how dark these days are. And you should not lose hope, because that is what they want. They want you to lose hope. They want you to give up, and they want to make this country into something that it should not be. And I'm here to fight as hard as I can for my clients, and I want to fight for anyone who wants to try to, okay? So if you do want to talk more about your immigration case, give us a call at 212-248-7907. We're open, we're open. Well, I don't actually know if anyone's there to answer the phones right now because it is so late. However, write our phone number down, 212-248-7907. So let's talk about the T visa. What is the T visa, and why is it the miracle visa that you need to know about? Well, first of all, the T visa will apply to anyone who is an immigrant inside the United States that has been unfairly taken advantage of by an employer. And what does it mean to be taken advantage of by an employer? Well, I'm not talking just about being paid less than others, or being paid under the table, or not getting paid for all of your time. Frequently, what we are seeing, especially right now, we are seeing lots of employers use the fact that their employee is undocumented as a way to get more out of the employee, using that as a threat. We all know how afraid everybody is these days, but if you are working for somebody, or if you have ever worked for somebody that knew that you were undocumented, and they threaten you with your fear of ICE, of immigration, of getting deported, of getting caught by the IRS for working underneath the table. If anyone that you have ever worked for has used fear of the legal process against you to get you to work more, to get you to not be paid for all of the time that you spend at work, to do dangerous jobs, to work without safety equipment, to basically suffer things that a normal American person would not suffer during the course of employment, then you may have been subjected to what is called human trafficking. And human trafficking is something that is a way to get legal status, no matter how many years you've been here, no matter how long you've been undocumented, no matter if you have the permanent bar, no matter if you have other violations, no matter if you have a removal order, no matter if you have even a false claim to US citizenship. It is something that every immigrant needs to know about, because I guarantee you every single one of us knows at least one person, or has at least one person in our lives that has been basically exploited and abused by an employer because of their immigration status. And I also want to point out that you can work for somebody who is from your own country and still be trafficked by them. In fact, the majority of cases that we have worked on, our clients were trafficked by people from their own country, right? And a lot of people think that you can only be trafficked by someone who's Caucasian or white, and that's simply not true. Just like I see lots of lawyers or other notarios taking advantage of the community that they belong to, so is the same with trafficking, okay? 212-248-7907. 212-248-7907. Okay, let's see who's here. Chevalier Laforet. Hello, good afternoon. I appreciate your service to the community. It's my pleasure. I will do as much as I can. Jude Michaud, hello. Freedom Now, watching from New York from Shane Coco. Hello, hello. Okay, let's see what questions we have. Sohana Mansur from Dallas. Snow Cone, honestly, I need a second opinion. The lawyer I got my mom for the past 5 years is taking too long. That's such a good, that's such an interesting thing to say. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit tired right now, so I'm stumbling my words. But do you need to have a second opinion if your lawyers, if your immigration case is taking too long? And here's what I would say. The majority of immigration cases take a very, very long time. So let's talk about the fact that you could be in court for removal defense, and those cases will typically take anywhere from 3 to 7 years. I kid you not, we had a hearing. We were supposed to have a final hearing on a case on Friday. It was going to be the third time we were supposed to have the final hearing for this case. And this is a client that has been with me since, I think, 2018, and we still have not had his final hearing, right? VAWA cases are taking 4 years. U visa cases are taking anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and so on and so forth. These things take time. So if you want a second opinion, I think you should always get it, but that's not to say that having a second opinion is going to help make your case move any faster, okay? Because a lot of things are kind of tied to certain restrictions in immigration, okay? Tony Ate from Cameroon, Rupert's mom from California, Jamaican Ginger, current client. Hello, hello, my dear. Can't tell who you are. I'm gonna guess that you're Jamaican. Rodrigo, thank you for the hearts. Thank you so much. Miguel's asking, how long will a work permit take to process? All right, work permits can take anywhere from sometimes 3 months for certain cases to 8 to 10 months for other categories. And why does it take so long, or why is there such a difference? Well, number one, there's some work permits that might get processed faster than others. That will include work permits based off of asylum or DACA. Those are usually processed a little bit faster because, actually I'm not too sure exactly why, but those do get processed faster. But then it ends up taking longer for other categories. For example, if you are applying for a green card through marriage, your work permit might take anywhere from 8 to 10 months, and you might even end up getting your interview for your green card before you ever even get your work permit, okay? I hope that helps. How long does a T visa take to get from Chevalier? Joe Arakistan. Hello, huge shout out to attorney Carla Hugo. She got my removal proceedings terminated. Joao, congratulations to you. We are so happy. And okay, before I answer your question, Chevalier, if you are in removal proceedings, are you going to end up having to go all the way through for your final hearing, or can your hearing get terminated? And as our client here has said, she's giving a shout out to one of the attorneys on our team, Carla Hugo. I want to give a huge shout out to her too. Amazing attorney. And we recently got his proceedings terminated. So it is true that you may still be able to get your removal case in court in front of a judge still terminated, okay? And how can it get terminated? What are some of the reasons? Well, number one, some people's cases may get terminated because of the fact that we have something alternate in process, either a VAWA case or a T visa case. But I do have to say that this is not necessarily that common anymore. It's not so easy to get cases terminated in court just because you have an outside case going. However, here's something else that we are seeing in court. A lot of times, we have to file something called a written pleading in court, and then the government has to respond within a certain period of time. Well, guess what? The government is not necessarily doing their work on time. So as soon as we see that that deadline has passed, they have not filed an opposition, we make a motion to terminate, and a lot of times it will get terminated. And one more person out of deportation is one blessing for all of us, right? We don't need to have people in deportation proceedings, and we are monitoring these things daily. And if you have received a notice to appear in court, if you previously had a case denied, even if it was from years ago, you might all of a sudden be receiving something very, very scary and called a notice to appear in court. And what this does is that it's basically listing out all of these allegations about why you do not deserve to stay in the United States. And it will tell you a time and place and date to show up in court to basically defend yourself against removal. And if you receive a notice to appear in court, my number one piece of advice to you is to get an attorney. Get an attorney, because when you have attorney representation in court, it increases your chances of success by like 80 to 90% rather than appearing by yourself. And, we can help, we are representing clients in court throughout the country, and we are helping to get cases terminated. We are helping file petitions for relief, and we are basically by our client side. And if you are interested in having a well-rounded team of attorneys represent you in court in front of these immigration judges that really are not looking out for your best interest, give us a call. Okay, 212-248-7907. 212-248-7907. Okay. Hi, ma'am. My ex and I filed a joint removal of conditions, and now we are in the middle of divorce. He has hit me before, and I don't know if I should just do cruelty or divorce waiver from Shaq. Shaq 22, first of all, I'm really, really sorry to hear this. And this is really a conundrum. And I actually made a video about this earlier because a lot of you, especially a lot of you who are watching me for a long time, you may have already started a process with your husband or with your wife, right? Either you filed an I-130 or you have filed for your removal of conditions. But the truth is that you're actually suffering in your marriage, right? As this viewer has said, her husband, her husband has physically assaulted her and has hit her. And now she doesn't know what she should do. And a lot of you are in this boat where you don't know what you should do. Should you stay the course, or should you file for relief by yourself? And what I'm going to say is this can be a very tough choice, because it can be very tempting. It can be very tempting to stay the course. A lot of people will elect to stay in a physically harmful relationship, and they will decide to put up with abuse because they think it's faster. They'll get done sooner, and it'll be over before you know it. But in reality, it can end up being a trap, because what will happen is, when you start a case joint together with your husband or with your wife, you need them to cooperate with you all the way through to the end, and sometimes even many years after it's over. Then if you're in such a situation that your life has been turned into a nightmare, that you're worried about what's going to happen to you, the reality is that because it's a joint case, your U.S. citizen husband or wife has all the power. They can, number one, they could withdraw the case at any time they want. They could pull their support, and that would definitely force you into a position of having to file for a waiver by yourself or for VAWA. Number two, they could also show up to the interview and give you a bad interview in front of the USCIS officer. I have seen so many cases where the U.S. citizen will actually sabotage the case. They might even tell the officer that it's a fake marriage, that they just married for papers, and that will look very, very bad upon your case. Number three, they could cooperate with you up until the very, very last day. So imagine that you get called for an interview in 6 months, but the night before, your husband or your wife disappears, or they say, I'm not going to go. And then what are you going to do? You are going to be stuck. Even if you go to the interview by yourself, they are going to deny your case because you filed as a joint application. So both parties have to appear. And what you do when you decide to stay the course and just go along with the joint petition because you think it's probably going to be faster and it'll be easier, is that you actually sometimes set yourself up for failure and you put yourself on the defense. Because if your case gets denied, then it is a lot more work and a lot more effort to prove your case, right? You may even get sent that notice to appear in court because a denial these days ends up putting you into removal proceedings. So if I were in the position, if I were advising somebody who filed a joint I-751 together, but they revealed to me that they are being physically hit by their husband, I would say it is time to explore the extreme cruelty and battery waiver, because it's time for you to take back control of your case into your own hands. I can't imagine what it's like living minute by minute, day by day, worrying that your husband or your wife is going to pull your case or do something to you that's even worse. Why put yourself through that cruelty when the law gives you this option? And I get it, there's a lot of fear out there over doing a VAWA case or an extreme cruelty and waiver case, but we we have filed so many extreme cruelty and battery waivers for our clients, and we have had so many interviews. In fact, I'm going to be going to an interview in a couple of weeks in Chicago for one of these cases. It's true that these are not easy interviews. It's true that you need to be 100% prepared for these things. It's true that for the I-751 extreme cruelty and battery interview, you will be asked about the abuse that you suffered, and you must be ready to explain it. But the benefit of having the control, not having to live day by day thinking that your case is at somebody else's mercy, is priceless, right? You deserve to live in dignity. You deserve to know what's going to happen, and you deserve to have things happen of your own accord, okay? So I hope that helps. 212-248-7907. Rashi, hello. I'm still waiting for the I-485 based on approved T visa. Rashi, hello. Yeah, it's going to probably take some time. I don't know exactly what the processing time is for an I-485 based upon an approved T visa, but it's probably going to be some time, and we'll look that up for you, okay? Okay, Darmendra from Los Angeles. My wife is in Fiji. Hello. Sorry, going back to your question, Chevalier, for how long does the T visa take to get? So the T visa is taking approximately 1.5 to 2 years to process, okay? As of right now, it is one of the quickest processing cases that we have in immigration for humanitarian visa application. Of course, this may not last forever. So my advice is that if you have suffered a job situation where the employer was racist, discriminatory, used your immigration status against you, threatened you with ICE, threatened you with police, put you into unsafe conditions, get yourself evaluated for a T visa, and if you qualify, get your application in now instead of waiting 3 years, because in 3 years, the wait time might end up becoming 5 years, okay? 212-248-7907. Jan Smith, if I did not go on my interview and I only notified my lawyer a day before interview, is it abandonment? Okay, so if you did not go to your immigration interview, yes, they will usually consider it abandoned unless it's an interview for citizenship. For citizenship, they're a little bit more lenient. If you missed your first interview, they usually just automatically reschedule you. But if you have an interview for your green card and you miss it, you get a denial. You get a denial. It's not even, it does not necessarily, they don't take that well. Okay. What's the first step after getting married to a U.S. citizen to be able to get a work permit and social security card? I am Sparkle. So that is a great question. If you are currently married to a U.S. citizen and you are now wanting to find out what the process is, well, the first thing that we have to look at is how did you enter the country, because we want to see if you have a legal entry or do you have an unlawful entry, because depending on that, that's going to dictate what kind of case you can do. If you have a visa entry and there's no other major problems and you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can typically file what is called a one-step process for a green card, which involves filing both the I-485 and the I-130 together, along with some other things. And that is the first step. And along with that, if you qualify to file the I-485 as well, then you should also be able to file for a work permit application through what is called the I-765. And that's how you get started, okay? I'm Sparkle. If you're looking for help, give us a call, 212-248-7907. Sandra, I went to the interview for adjustment of status in October and the officer approved me, but I haven't received anything. What can I do? Sandra, well, that's good. It's great that the officer verbally told you it's a yes, but the officer actually has to process the paperwork. And if the officer has not processed anything yet, then that's why it's taking a long time. So what can you do if you went to your interview and you still don't have a decision? Well, typically, once you finish your green card interview, you get a letter that says the decision will be made in about 120 days. So what I would recommend is that if you have had your green card interview and you do not have a decision, wait until day 121 and after to file a service request with USCIS. You can do it, I think you can do it online sometimes. You can call them to place a service request, but you should wait until basically the time is ripe. It's called, the time is ripe, so you have to wait for 120 days to pass and then file your service request. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes making a little bit of noise can help draw some attention to your case, okay? Because sometimes the officers forget, sometimes, I don't know, the file's like sitting on the floor somewhere. Believe me, I've seen it all. Over COVID, we had officers taking files home and files being forgotten at home. So anyway, a lot of things can happen. I'm sure it's not any comfort to hear, but there are people as well. All right, guys, that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was useful. Make sure you turn on your notifications so that whenever I have time to go live, you don't miss it, because I'm a little bit busy and I don't always have time to go live every single day. And also, please make sure you share my videos with anyone that you think that they might help, because you never know when this information can help change and save someone's life, okay? And again, our telephone number is 212-248-7907. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. And don't forget to keep your head up high. Take care. Good night.